All right, today I've got a story for you that's, well, it's a little unusual, but absolutely beautiful. It comes from ancient China, and it's all about three wandering monks who had this incredibly profound teaching that they shared without ever saying a single word.
So let me just start by asking you this. What if the most powerful prayer you could ever offer wasn't a prayer at all? What if it was just a really, really good laugh?
Well, for the guys in our story, that was basically their entire philosophy. They were these three men who traveled all over the country. And get this, nobody ever knew their names. They were only known for the one thing they did everywhere they went.
Their whole routine was just so simple. They'd wander into a new village, go to the main square or the marketplace, stand together and just start laughing. We're talking deep, infectious belly laughs. And at first, people would stare, but soon enough, a child would giggle, then a shopkeeper, and before you knew it, the laughter would spread like a wave until the whole town was roaring. And then, the monks would just move on to the next village.
And you have to understand, this wasn't just them being silly. For them, laughter was everything. It was their prayer, it was their sermon, it was their entire teaching. It was like they had been let in on this huge cosmic secret that the whole universe is kind of like a great big joke, and the only sensible thing to do is laugh with it.
And this is how they lived for years and years, just going from village to village, leaving a trail of pure joy behind them. They were loved everywhere they went. But you know how stories go. Nothing lasts forever. One day, while they were staying in a small village, their joyful journey hit a roadblock. It couldn't get around. Just like that, one of the three friends passed away. The villagers were heartbroken. They all gathered around, expecting to finally see these legendary laughing men, well, cry. Surely now was the time for sadness.
So you have this whole crowd of people, right? They're all expecting grief, mourning, tears, all the things that come with losing a brother. But instead, what they saw just blew their minds. The two remaining monks were laughing. And not just a little chuckle. They were laughing with more joy, more power than anyone had ever heard from them before.
I mean, can you imagine the confusion? It made no sense. This was just unbelievable. Finally, one of the villagers got up the nerve to ask them the question that was on everyone's mind. Why are you laughing? Your friend is dead. Why aren't you sad?
And for the very first time, one of the monks actually spoke. He looked at the villager, still laughing, and said that just the day before, their friend had challenged them to a bet on who would be the first to die. And look, the monk said, he won, the old rogue. For them, even death wasn't a tragedy. It was the winning punchline to a long-running joke.
But wait, the story's not over. It gets even better. It turns out the monk who died had a will, with one very, very specific instruction for his funeral. In his will, he said, "Do not change my clothes." Now, the tradition was to wash the body and put it in fresh robes for the funeral pyre. But he insisted on being cremated in the same old clothes he'd always worn. He said his laughter had been like a shield and that none of the negativity or filth of the world had ever managed to touch him. So, respecting his wishes, the villagers did just that. They built the funeral pyre, placed their friend on top, still in his old, worn clothes, and as the whole village watched, the fire was lit. So everyone's just standing there, watching the flames grow higher, probably still a little confused about the whole situation. But it turns out the old rogue had one last joke to play on everyone.
Suddenly, boom! Fireworks, hundreds of them, exploding from the pyre in every color imaginable. The old monk had secretly stuffed his robes with firecrackers before he died. His death wasn't an ending, it was a grand finale.
And in that moment, it finally clicked for everyone. The shock, the sadness, it all just melted away. And a huge, genuine wave of laughter swept through the entire crowd, joining the two monks. His final joke was his greatest teaching.
So, what does this all mean? What's the big takeaway here? I think it's this. Life is full of problems, and yes, it has an ending. But we don't have to see that as a tragedy. We can choose to see it as this one great, amazing opportunity for joy.
It all comes down to a really simple but powerful idea. It's not about pretending problems don't exist. It's about how you choose to face them. And your joy, your ability to laugh at the absurdity of it all, that's what really makes you alive.
So I want to leave you with this one question. Think about your life, right now. What's one problem, one little worry that's been on your mind?
And what would happen if, just for a moment, you chose to meet it with a laugh?